Hi, everybody. This is Darian Wigfall, Director of Operations for FarFetched, here with Coffee Taylor. Say hello, Coffee.
Hello, it's a pleasure to see you here today.
Good to see you too. Thanks for joining us. So we're doing this artist talks, as you know, during this COVID-19 shutdown time, and talking to artists about their reaction to what was happening and also their practices. So I guess we'll just jump into how did you react when you first heard about coronavirus and then the subsequent shelter-in-place orders?
I was, as someone who's been medically trained,
Mhm.
I had I had a lot of reactions. I was upset mostly
Mhm.
at the way that things were being handled.
Mm.
We've had other issues, viral outbreaks over the years, and generally, even though I can't say that everything's always been handled perfectly. I could say that I do believe that I've seen things handled as best as humanly possible.
Mhm.
In this particular case, first there was outright denial,
Mm.
and then there was so much back and forth that I found myself. Well, I was diagnosed with high blood pressure this
Okay,
year.
man.
It's since this happened, and I'm
Oh
not saying
wow.
that it caused it, but it definitely aggravated it to the point to where there was a day where I felt like I was literally stroking out into the emergency room. As
Wow.
everybody can tell you, if I go to the emergency room, it's got to be serious. I was so I'm seeing people arguing with each other about whether or not they should take little small actions that just to keep each other healthy, just to keep themselves and other people safe.
Mhm.
Um, and the lack of any concrete guidance is what I think has been the biggest factor in the out of control nature of the place at which we find ourselves.
Mm. And you said you are a, say it again. You said something about horticulture. I
Yeah,
want to get it right.
yeah. Well, I started out wanting to be a doctor. I actually
Okay.
went to school for years and years and years. I did do nursing for
Mm.
over 20 years. That might be telling my age. Forget I said that. Um, just joking. But I became what I call now a holistic agriculturalist.
Mm.
And by that I mean I do see food as medicine
Mm.
because if we eat properly, not just take a bunch of pills that we say okay, this power vitamin, that power vitamin. Supplements are great if you
Mhm.
need something that cannot be readily obtained. But even then, you're wasting time and money by taking pills and supplements if you can't properly process and digest them.
Mm.
So there has to be a holistic approach. That's why I call myself a holistic agriculturalist because I grow things. I would like to speak with you about that on another show or this one now if you prefer. But
For sure.
I
Yeah. Let's get into your practice of holistic agriculture a little bit.
well, yeah, because it is until I talked to a doctor yesterday. I'm
Hmm.
sorry about touching my face, but I'm rubbing sage, so it's
It's okay.
okay.
Yeah.
Sage is antifungal and antibacterial. It has a lot of healing properties,
Hmm.
and it's part of what I had in my tea this morning.
Nice.
But at any rate, just by having healthier living practices, many of
Mm.
which I've managed to maintain over the years. I have a couple of really unhealthy ones that I'm working on, but everybody's got a thorn in the
Everybody's got a
flesh.
vice. Yeah.
Absolutely. But for the most part, I do my best to balance my meal. I'm the kind of person that I love butter. Never was on the margarine craze, even when they kept saying, well, margarine's better for you. No, I don't see how something that has 27 of the same ingredients that has plastic can
Mm.
be good for you.
For
As a
real.
matter of fact, if you leave a friend of mine who's over there, he just said it's healthy, and I gave him the evil eye. Sorry about that.
It's
Um,
okay.
but if you leave margarine in the sun long enough, it will actually turn into something that smells very much like plastic.
Mm.
And that is truly, truly not something that you need in your body. But anyway, I'll eat a pound of butter on a pound of broccoli.
Mm. Hmm.
Balance. Do you see what I'm
Mm.
saying? Because
Yeah.
we have to remember that we need enough fats. Even as I know people that are strict vegans,
Hmm.
or I was a vegetarian-ish for a while. And by that, I mean I ate a diet of mostly fruits and vegetables. I
Mhm.
did still eat poultry and
Mhm.
fish,
Mm.
occasional poultry, not very much. I ate fish, but I would eat eggs and cheese.
Okay.
I was healthier at that time than I had been for, I think, much of my life because,
Hmm.
like most people of color, I grew up eating a lot of pork.
Yeah.
And just because it made my stomach feel bad, I thought that was just the price you paid. When you're 6, 7, 8 years old, you don't know any better. As
Mm.
I got older and I was able to make choices, I realized that less of that made me feel better. And gradually, I just stopped eating it.
Mm.
And then I
Wow.
began to really understand the benefits of not having it and all the risks involved
Hmm.
with. Now, here we come to another nowadays processed food. Okay, the
Yeah.
stuff we buy from the stores. Ooh, I do so much praying over that stuff. You know, that's what saying grace is really supposed to be for, is to run the demons out the food, kill whatever's bad for you.
Mhm.
But what comes out of the grocer is so deregulated, especially now. We had come to a point to where, and this comes from somebody that's been involved with small farmers, USDA, Lincoln University. I'm telling you what I
Okay.
know.
Okay.
We had come to a point to where there was a lot more regulation, and food had become much safer.
Hmm.
Over the past 3 years and I don't know how many months, all that has been undone and done away with.
Wow.
Packaging, everything from the packaging to the processing is really inferior because the stress is about what else but numbers and money rather than about quality and being healthy. Because
Mhm.
to some people, the only success comes behind a dollar sign,
Mm.
unfortunately.
That's real.
That brings us back to the original point. That's the right now, this person, I don't like the name. This
No, it's.
person
I get it.
is trying so hard to fix something that the very things that he are doing is what is destroying it.
Wow.
Just caring about the people. Right now they're talking about, I expect the economy to collapse fully. As long as there's a focus on bailing out airplane companies and
Mhm.
big factories,
Yeah.
and you're not giving the people that actually go into the retail places and spend the most money,
Right.
the money to go in there and spend, it's never going to work. You're just going
Yeah.
to have a bunch of empty balloons flying around and not understanding why there's no foundation. We are the foundation.
Hmm.
We are. So you're telling the people that you are most depending on that you're so panicked because they won't get back to work. You want them to go back to work at any cost. And
Yeah.
then they're all going to die. I'd said in a Facebook live video a couple of weeks ago, what's going to wind up happening is if you're successful in forcing us all back to work, then all the people that are most skilled at walking your dog or pressing your clothes or cutting your hair or doing your nails
Mhm.
or all those things that are so essential for those with, yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. Well, the best ones are all going to die off. And the only thing you're going to be left with is either the people that don't know how or the people you didn't want to do it in the first place. Then what will
Wow.
you do?
Yeah.
So you might as well just take a break, back off, learn to live, and let the country heal. Let it get under its feet. Give it some help instead of blocking the efforts to give us something, instead of telling us that we have to be drafted into a war that none of us
Mm.
want to fight.
Mhm.
Don't tell me my mama can die and it's okay.
Right. So many politicians are saying that exact phrase right now. It's crazy.
I had this old man walk up to me. No, he didn't walk up. He rolled up to me. He rolled up to me in Walmart and said, you know, I guess if I'm old and I have to die, well, I guess I'm ready to go. I said,
Wow.
well, sir, I guess first of all, I'd say that we're all dying from the day we're born,
Mm.
unless you happen to be something of which I am not aware. But I'm quite sure that there are at least two or three other people that don't feel the same way about you. You feel
Right.
about yourself. Isn't there someone that would miss you?
Mm.
And this is the thing:
Perspective.
taking one's own life is an ultimate decision to which only that person can be held accountable. But
Yeah.
this is what I've said to people in the past. Please think about the ones that you leave behind.
Mm.
So if there's a chance for you to be saved, if there's a chance for you to be saved, why not take it?
Yeah.
If there's a chance to look like a hero by actually providing those things to this country that this country needs, not just desires, that it actually needs, why not take that chance
Mm-hmm.
and be a hero instead of trying to undo all the heroism that's been done? I mean, no politician is ever perfect, but
Yeah.
good Lord have mercy.
Oof. Yeah, and I think the person you're talking about, because I won't mention his name either,
Thank you.
really considers himself as like an industrialist, but the great industrialist knew exactly what you're talking about. Like Henry Ford made sure that his cars were affordable for the people that worked for him. And that was one of the keys to building the economy that we had that's being squandered now. But like taking care of the people first is what makes the economy strong. So I don't understand
Absolutely.
how they don't learn that from history. But we could talk about that all day. I want to get more into your creative practice because you do a lot of things creatively. So can you kind of run down the list a
I,
little bit and tell me what you've been working on?
I am a consummate artist, and by that I mean I'm a singer, dancer, a writer, a poet. I write songs, which well, songs are poems, like music. So,
Sure.
um, I'm a sculptor, a painter. In fact, I just got through doing a shirt for my husband a little while ago.
Very
Now,
cool.
I admit that I don't do all these things in in the quantity that I feel that I should.
Mm.
One of those reasons is because I get real caught up on quality. I'm
Mm.
sort of OCD,
Perfectionist.
which is yeah, which actually helps out at a time like this as well. Because let me tell you, I was already about the hand washing thing and the
Mm.
watch your mouth, and so it's just stuff that we should be doing every day anyway,
Yeah.
just to be healthy people. The only new thing is trying to cover your face with something. That's the only thing new, and
Mm.
not be all up in people's faces when you're talking, which is hard for me because I'm a hugger. I ain't gonna lie.
Same.
My first thing
Same.
I want to do
Yeah. Yeah.
is so, but yeah, I feel that we are all given gifts. I feel that we're all artists of sort. Whether you can sing or not, maybe you put together arrangements well. Maybe you arrange flowers. Maybe you're a good
Mm.
decorator. You can put together a room just so, build a house just this way. There,
Mm-hmm.
I think that people get frustrated because they try to be what they see as an artist in someone else's eyes
Mm.
instead of finding the creator in themselves. Not just the creativity, the creator, because the creator is in us. The creator is us,
Oh, yes.
especially collectively. You
Mm-hmm.
know, we are the being. So explore
Man.
to the fullest. You know, do
Yes.
what you love and love what you do.
So have you been, well, I should ask, were you in the house a lot before the shelter in place, or has that changed at all, or like,
Ironically, and this isn't the first time I've said this, I firmly suspect, I'm not going to say believe,
mm-hmm.
I suspect I might have been one of the early victims of such. As a matter
Okay.
of fact, a number of people in this area experienced something that none of us was familiar with. But this was before it was announced that,
Mm,
okay, here's this thing and here's the symptoms. A good friend of mine and I both, we were like debilitated, had to cancel a gig. She
mm,
and I do this little duo at this seafood restaurant down here.
okay.
We have a lot of fun doing a lot of like classic rock. You would be surprised at some of the stuff you catch me singing down here. Well, if you know me though, you probably wouldn't be surprised at all. So I take all that back.
I feel
Anyway,
it.
but I was quite ill at the beginning of the year.
Mm,
I wasn't able to work for 3 weeks, and then I went back to work, and my mom got sick,
mm,
and my mother, yeah, bless, my mother is a cancer survivor.
wow.
Last year, she was diagnosed with and cured of at the same year within 5 weeks. Yes, sir. Let me tell you, it wasn't easy because she was fighting.
I bet.
But that whole holistic thing I was talking about,
Mm-hmm.
we put that into overdrive.
The
And
foods
not
and
only was her treatment, at first they were going to send her to chemo and radiation therapy for 8 weeks.
mm,
And then they said they were going to do it for 6 weeks.
okay.
She only did it for 5 weeks because
Wow.
on the fourth week, they took a scan and they didn't believe the scan, so they took another one. It was gone, completely gone,
Wow.
completely in remission. So now it's just trying to keep her that way.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
she got sick. And so right at the time when I was starting to go back to work
Mm-hmm.
is when we were about ready to shut down. As a matter of fact, the
Mm.
last day that I actually, entertainment wise, that I performed anywhere,
Mm-hmm.
was on St. Patrick's Day.
Oh,
And
really? Yeah.
I was sketchy about it then because I knew. So let me tell you what I did. Being an MC, a DJ, and a karaoke host,
Wow.
yes,
That's a lot.
that's not happening.
Uh-uh.
But that last day, I prayed a lot. I had my mic covers and I had a bottle of alcohol and I had hand sanitizer. And
Mm-hmm.
between every person, I would spray the thing when they took it off, put another one on there, and let that sit in there and dry. And then I'm telling you, like I said, all of the stuff that I've done has come in handy. My medical training,
Mm.
my field training. I was also a member of the military. I just
Okay.
realized that
Wow.
at field training that there was probably no point of reference for that. Part of what I did to be able to afford college was join the Air Force.
Mm. Okay.
And I did that for quite a while, 17 years active and three
Okay.
years reserves.
Okay.
So that was quite an experience. I really learned a lot there. That's one of the places that helped me. It reinforced my Girl Scout training so
Okay.
that I can live without electricity. I really can. I can live without these things. It might not be
Mm.
as fun sometimes, but
Mm. Trade-off. So,
oh yeah,
and
it is a trade-off.
before
It's
you mentioned you're able to make your own living and not really have to live with capital or use capital. Can you tell us a little bit more about how that works for you?
well, when I first moved to Lake of the Ozarks from
Mm-hmm.
St. Louis,
Mm-hmm.
I lived on a farm where I raised goats and chickens and
Mm.
vegetables, and I raised tilapia in tanks in a greenhouse.
Oh, wow.
It was a
Cool.
geodesic dome greenhouse.
Mm.
Now, the biggest problem with maintaining it, and we did most of it off the grid,
Okay.
with the solar panels. I had planned on getting wind. Um, when I say all this, I don't want you to get the impression that I had a bunch of money and came and invested it. It was not that at all. The
Mm-hmm.
owners of the property that granted me the 5 acres were into sustainability.
Okay.
And together we entered into some projects. And most of what we built was using reclaimed materials. The fish were grown in old float tanks from the docks.
Okay.
They have the big fiberglass tanks. So
Yeah.
we would get those, cut them open to these big tanks, and
Mm.
I started out with 13 fish and wound up. I lost count. There was no way for me to keep track
Yeah.
of how many I had because it wasn't that, and it was all natural. I used airlift pumping system to transfer water and keep the water fresh and clean.
Mm-hmm.
People said, "Oh, well, tilapia will self-predate." Not if you keep them fed, and if they've got algae, that's their favorite food.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting into details again. I
That's
raised
all
my
right.
own food.
Mm-hmm.
I won't say that I made my own clothes, but I did a lot of trading for things with others
Okay.
of the same mind. Back and forth with, like, don't live very far from an Amish and a Mennonite community.
Okay. Cool.
And let me tell you, that's where some of the best stuff can be found
Mm.
because they do still believing in growing organically. They won't put harmful things into the soil.
Pesticides.
So what they produce is generally sweet and fresh, and you can buy it at peak instead of getting it green shipped to a market. So
Right.
I really love that concept. But I love even more having had that greenhouse and being able to go in there,
Mm-hmm.
get a few fish, go around, pick my salad, get
Mm.
my spinach, get my lettuce, raspberries and strawberries in the wintertime. There's nothing like it. There's a feeling that goes
Wow.
through you when you it's something that I've always wanted to do in the city and I was unable to start. But now there is a movement for urban farming
Mm-hmm.
and urban gardening
Mm-hmm.
like never before. And if people only knew how essential it was. My grandmother and her mother before her always had a garden.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where I got started with that because there was nothing like peaches off her tree. There was nothing like
Yeah.
tomatoes and
Fresh.
beets out of her. Oh, I have fruit trees too. have pear trees and apple trees. And yeah, so where I live, you can come there and live.
Mm.
That's all I got to say. And we're trying to make it into Eden.
Okay.
Seriously.
Okay.
So
That's a great goal.
thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you. I know it's my favorite one. It's the one that's what's closest to my heart. And
Mm.
everything else goes toward that. Even my music. And see, I am a singer. Um,
Hmm.
although it wasn't my focus for most of my life. Because like I said, I thought I was gonna be a doctor.
Right.
But there's healing in many things.
Hmm.
And there is a balm in music. There is a healing.
Mm.
A
Like an
lot.
ointment almost. Yeah.
Yes,
Something you
there
can put
is.
on when you need it, maybe not when
That's
you don't
right.
need it. Oh
That's right.
wow.
Applied. Properly applied.
Man.
There's no bugs on the sage. I'm gonna break my fast now.
That's all right. It's after 1 o'clock out here, so I think you're good. So are those the things that you're growing and stuff like that? Is that what you do to keep your spirits alive, or is there anything else that you've been doing during this
Yes, it
trying time?
is. Yes,
Okay.
it is. Because as much as I love humanity, sometimes it makes itself easier to love from a distance.
I
But
feel that.
yeah, I have. In fact, right now I've come outside there. When I first came out, I was like, oh, let me move this bird seed out of the. I've got wild bird seed everywhere.
Oh, that's
Um,
great.
watching the birds,
Mm.
they're so amazing, and watching them learn to get along. So I've got
Mm.
cardinals and blue jays and finches and titmouses and nuthatches and
Wow.
woodpeckers and just all at the same time
Super
on
diverse.
this little bird feeder that I built. And I'm just so thrilled by it. It's the raggediest looking little thing, but they love it.
If it works. So I guess the time is winding down on us a little bit. So I will ask you my last question is, do you think anything positive can come out of what's happening right now with COVID and with the shelter in place orders and things like that?
I think something positive always comes out of everything, even if we can't see it.
Mm.
There's a number of things that are coming out of this. We're learning that it's really hard. No matter how we want to look out for number one, it's really hard to be alone. We
Hmm.
need each other to make it.
That's real. So if you would, can you let people know if you have anything online? I'm not sure if you've stepped into that, but if you published any poetry or any of your songs are out there and being performed by anybody, or really anything you've created in general, because even your produce, people might be able to get. Can you tell people where to find those things?
I sure can. Well, a lot of things need to be updated, but to get an idea of what I was talking about, if you look up Life Circle Farm on Facebook, Life Circle one word farm on Facebook, it'll lead you to a page. As far as my personal efforts and some of what I've been doing over the past few years, if you look at my personal Facebook page, you'll see me there doing a number of things, including I was in a Legends show where I got to portray a number of artists, including Tina Turner, Diana Ross, the lead singer of the Marvelettes,
Okay.
Chuck Berry, and Jackie
Really?
Wilson.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Classic music.
You got to see it to believe it.
The people out there watching, if you don't know who those artists are, you better know who pretty much everybody, really. But if you don't know who those
Yeah,
artists are, go look them up. And definitely, if you can catch
absolutely.
Coffee singing that in the future or even on her social media, go look at that as well. Um,
Absolutely.
I want to thank you again for joining us for this artist talk. Man, like I get so much perspective from each artist, and you coming from that holistic agricultural perspective, and previously wanting to be a doctor and having been a nurse. I think this has been one of the more um, enlightening talks because you have a wealth of knowledge that people need to know about, like the herbs that heal and like the foods, and hopefully maybe you're even putting out like recipes or just like what
And
types of
I'll tell
foods
you,
work for people.
well, here's the first thing that I think that we all need to learn if we don't know it, and remember if we do. No doctor can heal a person. You do not go to the doctor for them to heal you.
Mm,
You go to a doctor so that hopefully they will put your body in a receptive state to do
mm,
the healing that it was created to do. Your body was created to heal itself. Unfortunately, we often rob it of the materials it needs to do that. You need to give yourself the right materials. Your car ain't gonna run empty and you can't put water in the tank. You better use some
wow,
good gas or else it's gonna break down on you.
that's real,
I'm
man.
also a bit of a mechanic.
You do a little bit of everything. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I know a little about a lot and a lot about a little. That's me.
Well, thanks again, everybody out there watching. Of course, you can find anything for FarFetched on wearefarfetched.net, and go check out the other artist talks that we have up. And make sure you go check out Coffee's work. And if you get a chance, maybe fly by the Life Circle farm at some time and get some food.
Absolutely. Thank you
So,
so much for having me today.
thank you.
If you
Peace
guys
out.
ever do a panel thing, I want on it.
Okay. Will
Okay?
do. Yeah, will
All
do.
right.
Actually, when we get back from like all not being able to gather, I would love to have you come to the studio for some of the programs we do.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you.
Awesome.
All right. Be blessed.
You too. Thank you.